The Richardson Sons boardroom hadn't changed in 20 years. Same mahogany table, same leather chairs, same oil paintings of stern-faced men who'd run the company before. The only difference today was me sitting quietly in the corner taking notes on my tablet. Q3 projections are solid, my older brother Thomas was saying, standing at the head of the table in his bespoke suit. The merger with Wilson Tech should boost earnings by. Sorry to interrupt. My father, CEO Richard Richardson III, cleared his throat. But where's the coffee? Emily, would you? Emily. Not Ms. Richardson. Not Vice President of Strategic Operations. Just Emily, the daughter who'd spent 10 years building our Asian markets while her brothers played golf with clients. Of course, Thomas needs his coffee, my other brother, James, smirked. Emily, make sure it's the Colombian blend. And some of those biscotti he likes. I kept my face neutral, checking my watch. 9:58 a.m. Perfect timing. Actually, I said softly, standing up, I think coffee can wait. We have more pressing matters to discuss. Thomas frowned, his perfectly coiffed hair catching the morning light. The meeting agenda is set. And we need coffee. The agenda has changed, I replied, walking to the head of the table. Thomas, you might want to take a seat. Excuse me? He looked at me like I'd suggested he fly to the moon. Emily, father's voice held a warning. Know your place. Oh, I know my place, I smiled, reaching into my Hermes bag, the one they assumed was a knockoff. It's right here. I placed a thick folder on the table. What is this? James leaned forward. Stock certificates, I said calmly. And transfer documents. Quite a lot of them, actually. Father's hand went to his tie. What are you talking about? Remember when you all laughed at my little project in Asia? I began opening the folder. Called it a waste of time? Said I should focus on finding a husband instead of building markets. Thomas waved his hand dismissively. The Asian division is barely 15% of our. Was 15%, I corrected. Before I used those profits to start buying shares. Through various holding companies, of course. You'd be amazed what you can accomplish when no one takes you seriously. The color began draining from my father's face as he looked at the documents. These dates, these purchases. Go back 5 years, I nodded. A little here, a little there. While you were all focused on your merger, I was focused on something bigger. James grabbed some of the papers, his hands shaking slightly. This can't be right. These holdings would mean that I own 52% of Richardson Sons? I smiled, taking the seat at the head of the table. As of 9 a.m. this morning, yes, I do. The silence that fell over the room was absolute. Even the traffic noise from 40 stories below seemed to fade away. Now then, I straightened my jacket. As majority shareholder, I call this meeting to order. And no, Thomas, I won't be getting your coffee. This is impossible, Thomas sputtered, still standing. The family trust, the voting shares, are now mine, I finished, pulling out more documents. Along with controlling interest in all subsidiary companies. Would you like to see the paperwork? It's quite thorough. Father's tie seemed to be getting tighter by the second. Emily, what have you done? What you taught me to do, father. Remember? Business is about seeing opportunities others miss. Though I doubt you meant for your only daughter to apply that lesson quite this way. James was frantically typing on his phone. The lawyers, they would have caught this. Our lawyers work for the company, I reminded him. And as of today, I am the company. I gestured to his phone. But please call them. They'll confirm everything. The boardroom doors opened, and my assistant Margaret walked in with a team of people none of them recognized. Perfect timing, I smiled. Everyone meet our new executive board. Harvard MBAs, Wharton PhDs, and actual experience in global markets. Unlike some people who got their positions through DNA. You can't just replace the board. Thomas shouted. Article 7, Section 3 of the company bylaws, I quoted. The majority shareholder can restructure the board at any time, provided proper notice is given. I slid another document across the table. Notice was given 30 days ago. To the company lawyers. Who, again, work for me. Father's hand shook as he reached for the paper. 30 days, but that means that I knew the Wilson Tech merger was a mistake? Yes. I nodded to one of the new board members who began distributing folders. Their technology is 3 years behind our Asian competitors. The merger would have tanked our stock within 6 months. We spent a year on that deal, James protested weakly. You spent a year playing golf and congratulating yourselves, I corrected. while I was building relationships with actual tech innovators in Seoul and Shanghai. Thomas finally sank into a chair, his legs seemingly giving out. The family, the legacy. We'll be just fine, I assured him. Under proper management. Starting with some long overdue changes. I pressed a button, and the boardroom screens lit up with organizational charts. Thomas James, you'll be transitioning to non-executive roles. Generous compensation packages, of course. Can't have the Richardson boys looking poor at the country club. And me? Father's voice was barely a whisper. You, Father, will be announcing your retirement. Today. I slid a press release across the table. Full benefits, emeritus status, and plenty of time to work on your golf game. You planned all of this, he said, something like recognition finally dawning in his eyes. For 5 years, I confirmed. Every condescending comment, every coffee run, every time you called me sweetheart in front of clients. I used it. Built my own network while you underestimated me. Raised private capital while you bragged about your merger. My phone buzzed, a message from the stock exchange. Right on schedule. Ah, perfect timing, I said, standing up. Trading opens in 2 minutes. Would anyone like to watch the share price when we announce the merger is cancelled and reveal our new partnerships with 3 of Asia's largest tech firms? The next few minutes passed in a blur of notifications and dropped jaws. The stock jumped 28% in the first hour of trading as news of the Asian partnerships hit the wire. My brothers stared at their phones in horror as their precious Wilson Tech deal evaporated, replaced by something far bigger and more innovative. This will destroy everything we've built, Thomas finally managed, his face ashen. No, I corrected, reviewing real-time market data on my tablet. This will save everything Dad built before you two could run it into the ground with your outdated thinking and country club deals. Father hadn't moved, his eyes fixed on the stock ticker climbing higher and higher. The board, our friends. Your friends, I emphasized, who've been rubber-stamping bad decisions for years because they were all part of the same golf club. I gestured to my new team. Meet Dr. Sarah Chin, formerly of MIT's AI department. And Mr. Raj Patel, who built 3 successful tech companies before he turned 30. This is what actual expertise looks like. James was still frantically scrolling through the documents. The Asian subsidiaries, they're all shell companies I created? I finished for him. Amazing what you can accomplish when everyone underestimates you. While you were calling me sweetheart and sending me for coffee, I was building a parallel structure that now owns most of our Asian operations. But how did you get the capital? Thomas demanded. The connections? I smiled, thinking back to all those late nights and early mornings. Remember Li Chin? The secretary you ignored at last year's Tokyo conference? She's actually the heir to China's largest tech consortium. And Kim Jun-ho, the junior executive you made fetch your dry cleaning in Seoul? His family controls 3 major banks. The boardroom doors opened again and Margaret entered with a fresh stack of papers. The press is waiting in the main conference room, she announced. They're particularly interested in the new diversity initiatives. Diversity initiatives? Father's voice cracked. Oh yes, I smiled, standing up. Starting with our new board composition. Did you know we're the only Fortune 500 company that had 0 women or minorities in senior leadership? That changes today. I pressed another button, and the screens showed a new organizational chart. Meet our new C-suite executives. Top talents from around the world, hired for their abilities, not their country club memberships. This is revenge, Thomas accused, his face red. For all the times we made me get coffee? Called me sweetheart? Told me to focus on finding a husband. I shook my head. No, brother. This is business. Pure and simple. You taught me that, remember? Never let emotions cloud your judgment. My phone buzzed again, another market update. The stock was up 35% now. The Wilson Tech board is asking for an emergency meeting, Margaret reported. Of course they are, I nodded. Their stock is down 40% since our announcement. Tell them our acquisition team will contact them next week. At a much lower price point, naturally. James finally found his voice again. You're going to buy them anyway? At a proper valuation, I confirmed. After their stock bottoms out and their board realizes their technology needs our Asian partnerships to survive. Basic business strategy, brother. You'd know that if you spent more time analyzing markets and less time analyzing your golf swing. Father stood up suddenly, his chair rolling back. I need to make some calls. No, you don't, I said firmly. You need to read your retirement announcement. The press is waiting and the markets love a good succession story. Succession. Thomas laughed bitterly. Is that what you call this coup? I walked over to the window looking out at the city skyline. I call it saving our father's legacy. This company wasn't built on golf games and merger deals. It was built on innovation, on seeing opportunities others missed. I turned back to face them. Something you all forgot while you were too busy acting like entitled heirs instead of actual business leaders? My phone buzzed one more time, a message from Li Chen in Beijing. Congratulations, Emily. Your father would be proud. Not this father, I thought, watching mine struggle with his tie again. But my grandfather who built this company from nothing. Who believed in innovation and merit above all else. Yes, he would be proud. Now then, I returned to the head of the table. The press conference starts in 10 minutes. You can either join me in announcing our new direction, or you can read about it in tomorrow's Wall Street Journal. Your choice. And if we refuse? James asked weakly. Then your severance packages become significantly less generous, I said simply. Business is business after all. Isn't that what you always told me? The next 10 minutes passed in tense silence as my brothers and father read through their prepared statements. Occasionally, one of them would look up at me as if seeing me for the first time, not as the coffee-fetching daughter, but as the businesswoman who'd outmaneuvered them all. As we prepared to leave for the press conference, I stopped at the boardroom door. Oh, and Thomas? About that Colombian coffee you wanted? He looked up, his face still shocked. The new executive dining room serves better beans. From one of our new Asian partners. You should try it sometime. I smiled. Assuming you still have dining room privileges after today. The door closed behind me with a satisfying click, leaving them to digest not just their lack of coffee, but their new reality. Sometimes the best revenge isn't serving it cold, it's serving it with a side of market-shifting business strategy. And not a single cup of coffee in sight.